Remains in Nagrota. 2 officers and 5 soldiers of the Indian Army were martyred in this terrorist strike on an army unit in Jammu and Kashmir's Nagrota. Army personnel killed 3 terrorists and rescued 2 women, 2 children and 2 soldiers who had been trapped in a hostage-like situation. Bodies of the 3 terrorists have been recovered, but the total number of those who entered the camp was not known. The combing operations are still underway, and Army Chief Dalbir Suhaj will be visiting Nagrota today.
पहले से ये कह रहे हैं कि गवर्नमेंट प्रचार में ज्यादा लगी हुई है और देश की रक्षा में वो कम ध्यान दे रहे हैं। इसके वजह से ऐसी घटनाएं घट रहे हैं। अगर वो सतर्क रह के हमारे फौजियों को फ्री हैंड अगर दिए तो ऐसी घटनाएं नहीं घटती। तो इसकी पूरी जिम्मेदारी गवर्नमेंट लेना चाहिए। और जब सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक हुआ तो पर्रिकर साहब ने बहुत बड़ा जलसा मनाया, लेकिन मेरी सरकार से ये अपील है कि वो सतर्क रहे और हमारे जो जवान शहीद हो रहे हैं उसको रोका जाए और मुंह तोड़ जवाब देने की ये लोग कोशिश करना चाहिए।
संसद में उठाएंगे इसको?
अब देखेंगे, अब मीटिंग है।
एक इनकम टैक्स लॉ जो अमेंडमेंट कल किया गया जिसमें डिस्कशन भी नहीं हो पाया पार्लियामेंट, इसके
लिए तो हमने पूछा। देखिए, हमने तो कंबाइंड करके डिस्कशन के लिए पूछा, उसको भी उन्होंने अवसर नहीं दिया। एडजर्नमेंट मोशन प्लस इनकम टैक्स एक्ट दोनों मिला के आप डिस्कशन को लो, वो भी नहीं लिए। और इसको अलग ढंग से आप कर लीजिए, क्योंकि ये गड़बड़ी में उसको पास करना, पारित करना ये ठीक नहीं है। तो भी उन्होंने किया। वो डिटरमाइन किए है कि उनकी जो रवैया है डिक्टेटरशिप के तरफ जा रही है और डेमोक्रेसी को बचाने का और डेमोक्रेसी में डिस्कशन करने का उनका कोई इरादा नहीं है। थैंक यू। हम पहले से
One, of course, is that we need to review the security of our security procedures in all our installations. The second thing which we need to do is to, impose costs on this strategy of which Pakistan Army has adopted. And we started by that surgical strike. Now we need to send a message that that was not one-off. That is a strategy which we have adopted now, this government has adopted. That you hit us, we'll hit back at you. So therefore, I think we'll need to, from time to time, calibrating our response and choosing a time of our, taking a time of our choosing, we need to continue sort of hitting back at them so that we impose costs.
As far as Pakistan Army is concerned, it is safer to assume that it will continue. There will be no change in policy. No Pakistan Army chief will change the policy of utilizing militants against India. So this will continue. I don't think there'll be any change, no.
As far as the US is concerned, the US has been giving military aid to Pakistan for a long time, for its own reasons, for its own interest. They had interest in Afghanistan. Therefore, they were supporting the military regime of Pakistan. They were giving them monetary aid. They were equipping them with weapons, aircrafts, tanks, guns, ammunition, equipments, clothing, radio sets, the works. And every time in the international forum, when we raised the point, we're not giving it for defending the national borders against India, we're giving these weapon aids to them to combat terrorism within Pakistan.
Let's go across to my colleague Ashish, who's joining us live from Nagrota this morning. Good morning, Ashish. Bring us up to speed with the latest. Search and combing operations have resumed this morning after that terror strike. Tragically enough, we have lost 7 of our braves yesterday.
Well, that's right, Akshay. Total 7 martyrs lost their life yesterday. I'm told after the medical and the post-mortem procedure, their wreath-laying ceremony would be organized here in Nagrota at the 16 Corps headquarters, which is known as the White Knights. Apart from that, the combing operation has begun since around 6 in the morning. There's not been any major success for Army since the time the combing operation has begun. Yes, they are trying to piece together evidence, trying to track exactly where the terrorists entered from. Just behind the Army unit which has come under attack is a dense forest, and that's the exact route where the terrorists are believed to have been come from. Apart from that, there is going to be a larger question that why the security establishment are being targeted. I'm told that there was a specific intel alert on 29th and 30th December that the Army unit can come under attack. It certainly is a big blow to Army, considering after the Uri attack, just 2 months after the Uri attack, right in the heart of 16 Corps. Remember, 16 Corps is one of the main corps of
Yes.
Indian Army, and just next to 16 Corps headquarters, this Army unit is where the terrorists decided to strike, and there was a hostage kind of situation. That's the most underlining part when the Army PRO yesterday informed us officially that the security forces were not even prepared to ensure that the terrorists do not manage to enter inside the Army unit. So the damage could have been much bigger, but because of a couple of brave hearts, remember 7 out of 7, total 2 are major officers and 5 are Jawans. Because of these brave hearts, the was averted, and the casualty figure,
Right.
including the civilian, could have gone much higher than what it is today.
Yes, you did point out that there was intelligence, Ashish, that on the 29th or 30th there could be an attack of this sort, and unfortunately so, we saw one. But what's disturbing to note is this is not really at the IB or the LOC. We're talking about, if I'm not wrong, close to 20 kilometers inside on the Indian side of the border. How did these terrorists actually manage to get in so close up to the Army installation is a big question mark. And if there was intelligence on this, the question still remains, how were these people not identified that they were approaching the unit?
That's a big question, Akshay, but I would like to decode it for our viewers to help them understand how the terrorists entered and actually executed their plan. Remember, even in Uri attack, the terrorists had come in army fatigue. That's the reason they managed to come close to the army unit in Uri. And even in this case, in Nagrota attack, the terrorists were in police fatigue. Jammu Kashmir police uniform is exactly what they were wearing,
Okay.
and that's precisely the reason why they managed to come close to the army unit. But that's not good enough excuse rather for army to ensure, say that they could not detect the terrorist movement. The bigger question here is that the Nagrota town is around 25 kilometers away from the nearest IB.
Okay.
There was an infiltration bid that was foiled along the IB at Chamlial in Samba sector. That was foiled by BSF. But this particular area is around 25 kilometers away from IB. This certainly proves that the terrorists managed to not only infiltrate, they were here in Jammu, in and around Nagrota area for at least few days. And the Jammu Kashmir police, the intelligence, completely failed to detect them. And that's precisely the reason why they managed to come close to army unit. They entered army unit in Jammu Kashmir police uniform. Akshay?
That's right. And we also believe now, Ashish, this morning that Army Chief Suhaj is expected to visit Nagrota today to take stock of the situation. Meanwhile, any word really coming in from the local administration as well on if any lapses really, if we could have seen where we've seen whether it was Uri or Pathankot or Nagrota yesterday, that there is a modus operandi which is common really in all three of these attacks.
Yes, not only Uri and Nagrota, Akshay, this attack has a lot of similarities with Pathankot as well. I would like to draw a couple of parallels among these attacks. See the time duration. The terrorists choose to target the defense establishment between 4 and 6. That's the time when shifts change, at the time when Jawans and officers just wake up or they gather for the regular morning PT. There was a uniform disguise. This is one thing which is common between Uri attack and Nagrota attack. The aim to inflict maximum casualty on the security forces appears to be a new modus operandi of the terrorists, at least in last 1.5 years. Earlier, we used to see a pattern where the convoys were attacked, but now the terrorists dare to come close to units, air bases, and trying to enter and cause maximum casualty on the security forces is the new strategy appears to be of the terrorists. And in addition to that, one must not forget what happened in Chamlia. Remember, it was a twin terror attack. Right. It appeared to be a very well coordinated and planned attack from the Pakistan side. The ammunition and the weapons recovered from the 3 terrorists neutralized in Chamlia in Samba sector yesterday includes IEDs and few ammunition that actually suggests that had these 3 terrorists managed to enter or infiltrate, they were planning something big. Something right. Big as big could have been blowing up the railway track or any of the security establishment. This is the kind of ammunition and IEDs and weapons that have been recovered from these 3 terrorists. Those were neutralized by BSF right. yesterday in Chamlial in Samba sector.
Yes, Ashish, 7 is a very huge number. I mean, Uri saw 19, now we're talking of 7, which also is extremely grave. But let's talk about the ultimate sacrifice that our Jawans have made. We're talking about Jawans, we're talking about officers in Nagrota, how they really defended this entire installation, which houses, if I'm not wrong, more than 1,000 personnel. Talk us through what happened in those moments. What is it that people have to say about it?
See, actually, the hostage situation was the most underlining aspect, and that's, I'm told, is the biggest reason why the casualty has gone as high as 7. Remember, when the first point of contact happened at around 5:30 in the morning yesterday, that's when 1 officer and 3 Jawans lost their lives. That is understood because it comes with a surprise and shock value at around 5:30 in the morning. But the remaining 1 officer and 2 Jawans lost their lives in the process of ensuring that the hostage situation is averted. Remember, there were total 12 other Indian Jawans, Indian Army Jawans, 2 women and 2 children. So total 16 of these were trapped in an officer's mess building. The officer and the Jawan ensured that the hostage situation is averted. Had that thing happened, it could have been a much bigger disaster. The terrorists have these trainings. We know what they did in during 26/11. The hostage situation could have been extremely difficult for the army to control because they had to ensure that the collateral damage is minimized, and the operation would have lasted much longer. Yesterday evening, I'm told by top sources in the local unit here in 16 Corps, they tell me that they were not worried about blowing up the buildings. They suspect that there were a couple of terrorists left in certain areas, in certain buildings of the army unit. They directly blew up the entire building to ensure that the terrorists does not escape alive from this particular area before the sun sets in. So these were the precautions that were taken, and certainly because of our 7 brave hearts, the casualty figure is much less. It could have been much more disastrous than what we are witnessing today.
Okay, Ashish, request you to stay with us because we are tracking these live visuals that are coming to us from one of those houses. 7 such families, along with the entire nation, will be grieving the loss of our brave hearts this morning. On your screens are visuals coming to you of Havildar Sukhrat Singh's family. He was aged 32, hailed from a village Mannagar, P.O. Batala. This is Gurdaspur in Punjab. He is survived by his wife Harmeet Kaur, and these are all family members grieving the loss of his loved one. And India, of course, salutes the bravery and the efforts they are being put by 7 of our army officers yesterday who were defending this nation without caring about their own lives. All they really wanted to do was defend the line, and they gave the ultimate sacrifice. These are visuals that are coming to you from the residence of Havildar Sukhrat Singh, who was 32 years of age and survived by his wife Harmeet Kaur. Right, as we were discussing, Ashish, a couple of moments ago, 7 such families today will be grieving the loss of their loved ones, and so will the entire nation. But we, of course, salute the ultimate sacrifice that these bravehearts have made. In this tragedy, we have lost 2 majors, and the other Jawans 5 other jawans there in Nagrota.
That's right, Akshay. Generally, we hear the loss of life as far as the ranks are concerned of jawans or other ranks, but when an officer is lost, it certainly helps us understand the intensity of the attack. Generally, officers remain at the strategic and the tactical position, but the loss of two officers' life in yesterday's terror attack certainly helps us understand that it was a direct intensity, at a direct attack from the group of 3 terrorists who had managed to infiltrate and attack the army unit. Apart from that, as I mentioned, that yesterday's hostage situation was something that was averted only because of one major and the 2 other jawans. Apart from that, the remaining 4 loss of life that took place during the first contact with the terrorists is something that could have been accepted or understood by the army because of the shock value and the surprise value with which the terrorists entered. Remember, at around 5:30 when the terrorists entered, they started hurling grenades at the army unit security gate, and quickly after that they managed to enter and started the indiscriminate fire. So that casualty figure was around 4. The remaining 3 lost their lives to avoid the hostage situation. Coming back to the main question, what you asked, loss of lives, yes. Now, including this figure in a total around 25 plus army soldiers have lost their life since the Uri attack. At least, and I'm excluding the Uri attack figure. Remember, the Uri attack figure was 19.
Yes.
So, close to 40 to 45 soldiers have already lost their lives in last 2 months. India did conduct surgical strike. After that, there have been series of encounters, ceasefire violations, and the infiltration bids that have been foiled. And there have been multiple casualties in between as well in terms of number. There were just 1 or 2. But certainly, close to 50 soldiers, that's including the Uri attack and the military and paramilitary as well, BSF and other paramilitary forces, certainly is a big number. And the forces, the government must realize that despite the change of guard and the Pakistani army that took place yesterday, the situation appears to not be moving towards the normalization, and they will have to certainly come up with a new strategy, new plan to ensure that the casualty figures do not go high, and at least the number of casualties that we have witnessed, as I mentioned, close to 50 in last 2 months, including the Uri attack, it certainly is a big number. And there are many such families, the visuals we are showing, many such families who are losing their sons, their fathers, their brothers, their sisters, their husbands. Certainly is an issue that the government and the forces must rethink and come up with a new strategy and plan to tackle with these menaces.
Right. Ashish, thanks very much for joining us with the latest there from Nagrota. We will, of course, keep coming back to you in the course of the day as investigations continue with this combing operation. But while we have spoken of family of Havildar Sukhrat Singh in Punjab, let's also talk about one of the other 7 braves who laid down his life in the service of this nation. Major Akshay Kumar was one who led the anti-terror operations that finally led to rescue of 12 hostages. He didn't even care about his own life while fighting for us. Major Kumar, hailed from Bengaluru in Karnataka, survived by his father, who was also an army veteran, wife Sheetal, and a 2-year-old daughter. India salutes the martyrs of Nagrota.
I'm literally seeing the news today, and this is what it's come to. His brilliant life actually had to be ended like this. But I'm so proud he did it for our country, and he knows he's proud too. It's a very tough time, and I don't know how his wife and his small daughter are all handling it, his parents and sister, everybody out in Bangalore. And, it's going to be so hard for them, and I, pray that, God gives them the strength. And we'll miss Akshay.
And twin terror strikes here in Jammu and Kashmir have proved that there has been no let-up in Pakistan's intentions to keep bleeding India. Yet the terror strikes, which have taken the lives of at least 7 of our brave soldiers, found no mention in Parliament, where our MPs found it fit to debate and disrupt the House proceedings over everything else accept the plight of our brave forces along the border who fought with everything they had to secure the nation. It's not that our MPs don't have the means to take necessary steps, as one of their own has moved a private member's bill to declare Pakistan a terrorist state. But the question is, do they have the political will to be able to do so?
Now terrorism has shifted Kashmir to even Punjab also. It is a very dangerous situation. Instead of taking publicity out of it, they have to do some serious things. Only speeches, only Twitter, social media or political statement cannot stop the terrorism. Country requires some corrective measures, country requires some tough measures to stop terrorism, but claiming that after demonetization terrorism is stopped in the Kashmir, it is false.
It is a cause of great worry for all of us that during the past 2 months the infiltrations have increased, the attacks by Pakistani sponsored militants have also been increased, ceasefire violations have also increased. I think the government of India need to be very alert.
They are coming deep into our territory, striking, and we are not being able to defend our men. It's shocking. I was more surprised by the cavalier manner in which the defense minister made the statement. I think he's not grown out of his mindset of a chief minister of Goa. Every word which the defense minister of India utters is heard globally. It reflects the policy of the incumbent government.
Because he cannot answer. This was a thoughtless, mindless exercise. He didn't think it through. And we are seeing the result on the ground. Therefore, he doesn't want to come. We want the Prime Minister to participate in the debate. That's why we are saying the House must be assured that the Prime Minister will come. That's all that we want.